Get your feet off the bench. The voice is gravelly, laced with casual contempt. Marcus Thorne does not look up. He keeps his pencil moving across the page, the graphite whispering as it shades the arch of a bridge. Hey, I'm talking to you. A shadow falls over his sketchbook. You deaf? Marcus finishes the line. He closes the book, a worn leather-bound journal, and places it beside him. Only then does he raise his head, his gaze calm and steady. Two police officers stand before him. One is older, thick-set, with a face flushed from the midday heat, and something mean tightening his eyes. The other is younger, a woman, her expression neutral but watchful. Is there a problem, officer? Marcus asks. His voice is even, betraying no emotion. The older cop, Miller, scoffs. He points a thick finger at Marcus's worn hoodie and faded jeans. The problem is you. Vagrancy. Loitering. I am sitting on a bench in a public park, Marcus states. It is not a question. It is a fact. Don't get smart with me, Miller snaps. He gestures vaguely around the manicured lawns and the distant playground where children laugh. You're making people uncomfortable. Marcus looks around. An elderly couple feeding pigeons. A group of students studying on a blanket. A jogger stretching by the fountain. No one is looking at him. No one seems uncomfortable. I see, Marcus says softly. His quiet compliance seems to enrage Miller more than any argument could. The officer takes a step closer, invading his personal space. What are you doing here anyway? Casing the place. I'm drawing. Miller lets out a harsh laugh. Drawing? Right. Let me see that. He reaches for the sketchbook. Marcus does not move to stop him. Miller snatches it, his thick fingers fumbling with the cover. He flips it open. For a moment, he is silent. The pages are filled with stunningly detailed architectural sketches. The city courthouse, the public library, the intricate stonework of the federal building downtown. They are rendered with an architect's precision and an artist's soul. The younger officer, Ramirez, leans in slightly to see. Her eyes widen in genuine surprise. Miller recovers quickly. He slams the book shut. Just what I thought. Casing government buildings. What are you, some kind of terrorist? He tosses the sketchbook onto the gravel path. It lands with a soft thud, pages splayed open, a corner of the leather scuffed. Marcus looks at the book on the ground. He feels a flicker of anger, cold and sharp, but his face remains a mask of placid composure. He learned this control long ago. He learned it in courtrooms facing down killers, and in boardrooms facing down corruption. He is Marcus Thorne. He is the newly appointed director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But today, on his first day of a mandated week off, he is just a man in a park. He wanted to feel the city he was now sworn to protect, not from a motorcade or a corner office, but from a simple park bench. His father, a carpenter with the hands of an artist, had given him that sketchbook. The world looks different when you force yourself to see the lines, he used to say. Drawing was how Marcus centered himself. It was how he made sense of the world's chaos. Miller was part of that chaos. A small, ugly, predictable part of it. Ramirez watches the man on the bench. He doesn't shout. He doesn't protest. He simply rises, his movements economical and deliberate. He bends down, picks up his sketchbook, and brushes the gravel from its cover with a careful hand. She feels a knot of shame tighten in her stomach. This is wrong. Miller has been on a tear all week, ever since he was passed over for a promotion. He sees an easy target, a black man in casual clothes, and his prejudice flares like a struck match. She is new, a rookie. She is supposed to watch and learn. But what is she learning here? How to be a bully with a badge. ID. Miller barks, his hand resting on his sidearm. Now, Marcus reaches into his pocket, pulls out a simple leather wallet, and hands over his driver's license. Miller squints at it. Marcus Thorne. Fancy. You don't look like a Marcus. He walks back to the patrol car to run the name, leaving Ramirez standing guard. She avoids looking at Marcus. She focuses on a crack in the pavement instead. She can feel his gaze on her, not angry, but observant. It makes her skin prickle. He's having a bad day, she says, the words quiet and apologetic. It appears so, Marcus replies, his tone giving nothing away. Miller returns, his face even angrier than before. Comes back clean. Figures. You guys always know how to work the system. The accusation is so absurd it is almost laughable. Marcus feels the cold anger inside him solidify into something harder, something resolute. What's in the bag? Miller demands, pointing at the simple canvas backpack at Marcus's feet. Personal items, Marcus says. That's not an answer. I have probable cause to believe you are in possession of materials for planning a criminal act. What is your probable cause, officer? The question is sharp, clinical. It is the question of a lawyer, a prosecutor. Is it my presence in a public park? My choice of clothing? Or the act of sketching a building? Miller's face darkens. The legalistic language, the calm defiance, it's like gasoline on his fire. He hates people who think they are smarter than him. My probable cause is you. Now give me the bag. You do not have my consent for a search, Marcus says clearly. He is not just speaking to Miller. He is speaking to Ramirez. He is creating a record. I don't need your consent. Miller shouts. He lunges forward and grabs the backpack. He unzips it and violently dumps its contents onto the grass. A stainless steel water bottle rolls away. A protein bar. A thick manila folder. And a small, silver picture frame. The frame lands face down. A spiderweb of cracks spreads across the glass. Silence. The air grows thick and heavy. Marcus's gaze drops to the cracked frame. It is a picture of his wife, smiling, and his daughter, age 7, missing her 2 front teeth. It was a gift from her just last week. So you don't forget us when you're being important, Daddy. That is the breaking point. The moment the equation shifts. The point of no return. His composure does not break. Not outwardly. But Ramirez sees it. A shift in his eyes. The calm is still there, but now it is the calm of a deep, cold ocean. Something immense and powerful has awakened beneath the surface. Miller, oblivious, picks up the manila folder. He opens it. Inside are blueprints. Official city planning documents marked with departmental seals. Aha, he exclaims, his voice triumphant. Stolen property. I knew it. I knew you were a crook. The documents are declassified schematics of the city's new water reclamation facility. Marcus is reviewing them for a Homeland Security briefing. They were couriered to his home this morning. Those documents are not stolen, Marcus says, his voice dangerously quiet. Yeah. Tell it to the judge, Miller sneers. He pulls out his handcuffs. You're under arrest. He grabs Marcus's arms, wrenches them behind his back, and cinches the steel cuffs on. He makes them tight, deliberately tight. The metal bites into Marcus's wrists. Miller, wait, Ramirez says, taking a step forward. This doesn't feel right. Let's just run the documents first. Stay out of this, rookie. Miller shoves Marcus forward. You want to end up on foot patrol for the next year? Shut up and watch a real cop work. Ramirez flinches back, silenced. Shame burns in her cheeks. Marcus does not resist. He allows himself to be pushed toward the squad car. He complies. He always complies. It is the patient man's greatest weapon. He lets his enemy build their own cage, bar by bar. The ride to the precinct is filled with Miller's gloating. He radios in, puffing up the arrest. Yeah, got a suspicious character near the Federal Plaza. Found him with a bag full of stolen city plans. Big time bust. Marcus remains silent in the back, his eyes closed. He is not angry anymore. He is focused. He is memorizing every word, every pothole in the road, every crackle of the radio. He is building his case. They enter the precinct through the sally port. The air is stale with the smell of disinfectant and despair. Miller shoves him toward the booking desk, a picture of smug satisfaction. Got a live one for you, Sarge, Miller announces to the desk sergeant, a weary-looking man named Davis. This bum was casing the federal building. Probably some anarchist nutjob. Had these on him, he slaps the folder of blueprints down on the counter. Sergeant Davis sighs, not looking up from his paperwork. All right, Miller. Put him in the holding cell. I'll process him in a minute. No. I want to process this one myself. This is my collar. Miller grabs Marcus's wallet from an evidence bag and tosses the ID onto the desk. Run him. I want to see his sheet. Davis picks up the ID. He glances at it, then does a double take. His eyes widen. He slowly lifts his head, his gaze moving from the plastic card to the face of the man in handcuffs. The color drains from his face. Oh no, Davis whispers. He stands up, his chair scraping loudly against the linoleum floor. Miller frowns. What's the problem, Sarge? His prior's that bad. Davis ignores him. He looks directly at Marcus. his expression a mixture of horror and profound respect. "Director Thorne," he says, his voice trembling slightly. "Sir, my God, I am so sorry." The precinct falls silent. The other officers at their desks stop typing. A phone rings unanswered. Miller's triumphant smirk dissolves into a mask of confusion. "Director? What are you talking about? Director of what?" "The city sanitation department." Before Davis can answer, the precinct doors burst open. Two men in sharp, dark suits and earpieces stride in. Their eyes scan the room, find Marcus in handcuffs, and their faces harden into granite. They are his security detail. They move with an unnerving speed and purpose that makes every cop in the room instinctively reach for their weapon. The lead agent, Harris, fixes his icy glare on Sergeant Davis. "Sergeant, you have 10 seconds to explain why my principal is in restraints." "Principal?" Miller sputters. "What is this?" Harris's eyes flick to Miller, dismissing him in an instant. His gaze returns to Davis. "Uncuff Director Thorne." Now, the title hangs in the air, heavy and undeniable. Director Thorne. Miller's mind struggles to connect the dots. The calm demeanor, the precise language, the architectural drawings, the name. Thorne. He'd heard it on the news. The new man, the reformer, the one they called the judge because of his ironclad reputation. The new director of the FBI. A wave of cold dread washes over Miller. His legs feel weak. He begins to shake, a tremor starting in his hands and spreading through his entire body. He looks at Marcus, truly looks at him for the first time, and he doesn't see a bum in a hoodie. He sees a man with the power to end his life as he knows it. Davis fumbles for the cuff keys, his hands shaking almost as badly as Miller's. He unlocks the restraints. Marcus brings his hands forward, rubbing his wrists where the metal has left angry red welts. Agent Harris steps forward, holding out a phone. "Commissioner Reynolds on line 1, sir." Marcus takes the phone. "Chief Reynolds. This is Director Thorne. We have a situation at your 17th precinct. I suggest you get down here." Immediately, he listens for a moment. "Yes, I'll be waiting." He hangs up and hands the phone back. He turns his attention to Miller, his eyes as cold and hard as polished steel. "Officer Miller," he says, his voice low and carrying across the silent room. "At 14:32 this afternoon, you approached me in Central Park. You accused me of vagrancy. At 14:35, you illegally seized my personal property, my sketchbook. At 14:38, you conducted an illegal search of my person and effects, damaging a personal photograph of my family." He takes a step closer. Miller flinches back. "You arrested me under the false pretense of possessing stolen documents which are, in fact, part of a federal security review. You used excessive force in applying restraints. You did all of this based on nothing more than the color of my skin and the clothes on my back." Every word is a hammer blow. Miller's face is ashen. He opens his mouth to speak, but no sound comes out. Marcus turns his gaze to Officer Ramirez. She stands frozen, her face pale. "Officer Ramirez," Marcus says, his tone softening slightly. "You were present for this entire encounter. Is my recitation of the events accurate?" This is her moment. Her career is on the line. She can lie, try to protect her partner, protect herself, or she can tell the truth. She looks at Miller's panicked face, then at Marcus Thorne's unwavering stare. She thinks about the kind of cop she wants to be. She takes a deep breath and stands a little straighter. "Yes, sir. Director. It is completely accurate." Officer Miller's actions were unprovoked and unprofessional from the start. A collective gasp goes through the room. A cop breaking the blue wall of silence, right here in the open. Just then, Police Commissioner Reynolds bursts through the doors, his face a thundercloud. His eyes land on Marcus, then on the trembling Miller. He doesn't need to ask what happened. He can see it. "Director Thorne," he says, his voice tight with fury and embarrassment. "On behalf of the entire department, I don't want an apology, Chief." Marcus cuts him off. "I want accountability." He nods toward Miller. "Start with him." Reynolds turns on Miller, his voice a low growl. "Miller, badge and weapon. On the desk. You're suspended, effective immediately." He turns to Sergeant Davis. "Sarge, I want Miller's entire service record on my desk in 5 minutes. Every complaint, every commendation, every use of force report." Miller, numb with shock, unholsters his weapon, and places it on the counter with a clatter. He unclips his badge and sets it beside the gun. His career is over. He knows it. But Marcus is not finished. This isn't about one bad officer, Chief, Marcus says, his voice resonating with authority. This is about a culture that allows an officer like him to operate with impunity. I want to know who supervised him, who handled his prior complaints, who signed off on his fitness for duty. The precinct captain, who had been trying to shrink into the background, suddenly looks ill. This department has a systemic problem, Marcus continues. And starting tomorrow, my office and yours are going to launch a joint federal investigation to fix it. We will be reviewing your training protocols, your internal affairs division, and your accountability procedures from the top down. This city deserves better. The commissioner can only nod, his face grim. He knows a storm has just broken over his department, and Marcus Thorne is the lightning. The fallout is swift and brutal. Officer Miller is arrested later that day, charged with multiple felonies, including civil rights violations. The precinct captain is fired. 2 lieutenants in internal affairs who had buried at least 3 prior complaints against Miller are indicted by a federal grand jury. Marcus Thorne uses the incident not for personal revenge, but as a catalyst for sweeping reform. The Thorne Initiative becomes a national model for police accountability, rebuilding trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Weeks later, Marcus sits in his spacious office, the city skyline spread out behind him. Agent Harris enters. "Ma'am, your 10 o'clock is here." Officer Ramirez walks in, now dressed in a sharp detective suit. She looks nervous but determined. Marcus had kept his promise. She was a key member of the new Joint Task Force, her career skyrocketing. "Detective," Marcus says, smiling warmly as he stands to greet her. "Thank you for coming." "Thank you for the opportunity, Director," she says, her voice filled with gratitude. "You didn't have to do that." "Courage should be rewarded, Detective," Marcus says. "Just as cowardice and prejudice must be punished. You chose a side that day. You chose right." Months pass. The city begins to change. The air feels different, lighter. There is a sense of hope that had been absent for a long time. One sunny afternoon, Marcus finds himself back in the same park, sitting on the same bench. His new sketchbook, a gift from his wife, is open on his lap. He is drawing the faces of the children playing in the distance. A young man walks by, recognizes him, and gives a small, respectful nod. "Thank you, Director," he says quietly before moving on. Marcus Thorne nods back, a faint smile on his lips. He looks down at his drawing, at the lines forming a new picture. The work was far from over, but a new foundation had been laid, and it was strong.